Hey, Miss Clancy's class, Mr. Ballin back here. I've got all the vials that we filled up yesterday for our experiments. If you were here for the live meet on Wednesday, we set up an experiment. First one that we're going to check out is the saltiness one. It says, which level of saltiness dissolves gummy bears the most? I had some things that I controlled. The size and weight of the gummy bear, the water amount, the covered vial, the same temperature, the same amount of light, and 24 hours. It's actually about 23 hours. I'm starting a little early to get this finished this morning. The saltiness levels were 0 grams, 1 gram, 2 grams, and 3 grams. That is the changed variable. And what I'm measuring is the weight. So I started with 1 gram gummy bears, and if they dissolve, they should weigh less than 1 gram, and I can also keep track of how much they changed. So let's get started. So I've got my 0 grams of salt. You can see, gummies didn't dissolve. It looks like they grew. They got bigger. The 0 grams of salt, that was. This is 1 gram of salt. Maybe a little bit bigger. It's hard to see that clear one. Sorry about that. 2 grams of salt. Looks like they did not grow, but maybe they dissolved, maybe they didn't. And 3 grams of salt. They don't look like they changed nearly as much, but they're also still there. Oh my gosh. Sometimes in science, our hypothesis, or the idea that we have, isn't what we find. We find something different. So let's find out what really happened here. I'm going to move my tub of where I'm going to dump the water out. I only want to weigh the gummy bears. I only weighed gummy bears when I started. I want to make sure I'm weighing just the gummy bear when I'm finished. My scale says that it's 0 grams. So I'm going to dump out the water, as much water as I can, get that out of there so that I'm only weighing my gummy bear, not a bunch of the water. Get rid of that stuff. And the red gummy bear from 0 grams of salt comes in at 10 grams weight. The red, 0 salt, 10 grams weight. So that's what I'm keeping my data table. Science, doing real experiments, we want to always keep data. So I wrote down for my red gummy bear, sorry, I'm covering up my finger there. Red gummy bear, 0 salt, started at 1 gram, ended at 10 grams. I'm trying to go fast here, so I might be talking kind of fast. And I got to scoop that up. My God, ooh, it kind of broke into pieces there. So definitely did not dissolve. It got bigger instead of smaller. I'm back to 0. That was why I wiped it off. I'm going to go with the red one, go in sequence here. The red one with 1 gram of salt. Quickly here, get the water out of there. Try and keep as much gummy as I can. Woo, sliding across the scale. And, only 4 grams. So it got bigger, but not nearly as heavy as the one that was in no salt. The salt seems to have stopped it from growing too much. Didn't dissolve it, it still got bigger. Instead of dissolved, remember, would mean that the liquid, the gummy bear goes away and turns into liquid. So here's one with the red one with 2 grams of salt. And make sure, yep, scale says 0. Always got to make sure you start with a zeroed out scale. And this one only has 3 grams of gummy. So more salt means less swelling up. For some reason, the gummy bears did not dissolve in salt water. They actually are getting heavier, but more salt makes them less heavy. Less heavier? I don't know if that makes sense, but not as heavy as no salt. 3 grams of salt, and we'll check this out. And my scale's back to 0, and get this gummy out. And the gummy's coming in at 3 grams again. So 3 grams of salt made a 3 gram gummy, which means it did not dissolve. It actually swelled up, but it swelled up less than the one that had 0 salt in it. So, whoops, I didn't need to cover that up. I need to take that out. Lots of wet gummy bears here. They didn't go away, they just got wet. So let's go through the same thing with the white ones or clear ones, gummy bears. 0 grams of salt. That was what that said on the lid there. My scale's back to 0. I got all the water out. Whoa, this one's 11 grams. Big chubby bear. 0 grams of of, I'm sorry, yeah, 0 grams of salt in the water, ended up with an 11-gram gummy bears. Again, let me show you my data table that I've got all the red ones finished here. I'm working on the weights, the end weights for the white gummy bears, getting those recorded, and that was an 11 gram. So it got like it breaks apart. It didn't actually fall apart or dissolve into the liquid. It swelled up, and it's very, the ones that were in 0 salt are very breakable at this point. So 1 gram of salt coming right up and right out. Oh, I might have a little bit wetter than I want it to be. 4 grams for that one. That's the same as the 1 gram red one was 4 grams also. So I'm noticing, as a scientist, of course, we record data and then we analyze that data. We look for patterns. We look for things that we're learning from that. So I just noticed that in the 1 gram of salt, the red one weighed 4 grams, and so did that clear gummy bear weighed 4 grams. My scale's at 0 again, always checking that. And another, whoops, I covered that again. Another similarity, 3 grams. That's the same as what happened to the red one. So the clear one with no salt in it got a little bit heavier, but otherwise, so far, the 1 gram and 2 grams of salt for red one and white one. Remember, scientists repeat experiments so that we can see if, to prove reliability, we want to make sure that our results are reliable, meaning someone else could copy the exact same experiment and hopefully get the same result. Whoa, the clear one comes in at 1 gram. That means it did not gain any weight. It did not dissolve into something lighter, no decimal point, but it did not gain any weight either. It's exactly the same size, or weight at least, that it was when I put it into the salty water. That is something different than the red result. So my finished data table, or mostly finished data table, I'll record that changed column. That changed column over here, I will do that and take a picture of that to share with you. But for right now, which level of saltiness dissolves gummy bears the most? No saltiness dissolves gummy bears. It is not the salt that dissolves gummy bears. That seems to be what I'm finding out, because the salt water actually made the gummy bears, in this case, at the bottom, it stayed exactly the same weight. It didn't change at all. And without salt, it got much, much heavier. That's not dissolving. So, all right, so let's move on to our next test, which was the gummy bears and different temperatures. And I still have my scale, and it's still at 0 here. Make sure it goes back to 0. It does. So let's start. I got ones that I put in the refrigerator. I put an RF on the ones in the refrigerator. And this is my green gummy in the refrigerator. And so as you can see in the refrigerator, in water, no salt this time, just water. Our question was, at which temperature does a gummy bear dissolve best? It doesn't look dissolved at all. It looks swollen up again. So I'm going to check. The water's coming out clear. I would have expected it maybe to be a little bit green if it dissolved, but it didn't dissolve. And so the green gummy in the refrigerator, dropping my vials rolling away on me. Green gummy, refrigerator, 6 grams. So it went up in grams by 5 grams. So again, it absorbed water instead of dissolving. Oops, he's falling apart. I cut him in half. Sorry, little bear. Definitely not going to eat these guys at this point because they've been in salt water or sitting around for a day, for 24 hours. All right, so let's try the red one that was in the refrigerator. Let's see if I can get the water out of there. And the gummy bear out. He seems to be swollen right into the sides. I can't. There he goes. Now he's moving. Hopefully I didn't get my computer wet. Scale's at 0, and he almost slid off. And again, 6 grams. The red one from the refrigerator. Where is red refrigerator? 6 grams. Writing that down. Let's see if we can scoop him off of there. Getting quite a collection of gummy bears and vials over here. And then the white one from the refrigerator. Get the water out of there. And I need to get moving here. This video might have to cut my video a little bit because I'm limited on time. 7 grams for the refrigerator. See if I can do a fast one at some point. So, all right. So, They are not dissolving. Again, no matter what in the refrigerator, they did not dissolve. They increased in weight. So I'm going to go over to the ones from Slayer's Cage in case this video needs to get cut short. So I'm going to start again with the green one. Aha, green water and no gummy bear visible. This scale's at 0. The one that was in warm temperatures seems to have dissolved. I have no gummy bear to weigh, so obviously it comes in at 0. Green one in the warm temperatures of 24 degrees Celsius. The red one in warm temperatures also dissolved. Nothing left to weigh. So that is, and the white one, I will dump it out for you, but the white one also, many of you told me that gummy bears have a lot of sugar in them. So the sugar dissolves in warm temperatures is what I just found. I got 0 grams on that one, so it completely dissolved. And the red one, or the red one and the white one, both 0 grams in the heat. The one that was in the regular room temperature. Here we go. So regular room temperature. Oh my gosh, he's almost swollen right out of the water. So let's see. The red one sitting in a regular room at my house is about 68 degrees Fahrenheit, which Celsius comes in at about 20 degrees Celsius. What my thermometers. Oh, my scale went off. Always got to try and make sure it's 0, and now I don't know what 0 is because now it says it's 0 right there. So I'm just going to pick them up as gently as I can. And sometimes in science we forget things. So let me get zeroed out here. There's a button that's called tare, and that resets the scale to 0, and then I will set my gummy on there. And he's coming in at 12. The red one, oh, that's my chubbiest one yet at room temperature. No salt, and the red one came in at 12 grams. He gained 11 grams of, I guess, water weight. I guess the gummy bear drank the water. The white gummy bear, if you can kind of see him there. Let's get the water out of there. And the scale is at 0 this time. And he's at 11. 11 grams. And we'll scoop him off of there as best we can. And scale's back at 0, and the last one, the green gummy bear from room temperature. Well, it looks like maybe the water turned a little bit green, which would mean a little dissolving maybe. Let's find out. But it looks like he gained a lot of weight. He's up at 12 again, the chubbiest, tied for chubbiest bear. And off of there. So my data table for that one, at which temperature do gummy bears dissolve best? They do not dissolve in the refrigerator, is what this seems to show. 7 degrees. At 20 degrees, they don't dissolve. They actually gain even more weight, or absorb would be the word, absorb the water inside of it. But at the warm temperatures, many of you said it's the warmth in our mouth that dissolves those gummy bears, and this experiment seems to prove that to be true. All of the gummy bears that were in Slayer's Cage in the warm temperatures dissolved down to 0. I will share more about this with you very shortly.